Subscribe.
My name is Jason Shurka. I have the privilege of working with an organization, a clandestine, undercover, underground organization known as TLS, otherwise known as the Light System. It's all about how to have a finger in certain places to influence things and make things move, to be able to beat the monster from within. It's understanding that we have the potential within. We have the ability to do what all the great leaders and religious leaders and spiritual leaders have done in the past. A caterpillar transforms and metamorphosizes into a butterfly. That's basically shapeshifting. We call that natural. So when a human being can do something like that, for whatever reason, we call it supernatural, and it's only because we're living subnatural lives. The Bible never caused war. The religious leaders, the people that started spreading those messages through their own corrupted lens, were the ones that caused war. And right now we're going through the process of unwinding and untangling that mess, energetically speaking, to eventually get to the same point that we were at thousands of years ago, which is one world, one life, love for all, compassion and unity. That's what the age of love is, and that's where they're trying to bring us to. So the reason why TLS works with these beings is because it's all bringing back universal awareness, bringing us all together. Time and space doesn't exist in the same way that it does from that perspective, from that awareness, from that consciousness. So it's a completely different way of doing things, and it starts with awareness. It's something that's beyond the laws of physics as we know them in application today. The craft becomes an extension of the operator's consciousness, and that's how they're going those distances and those speeds. I know it sounds like it's out of a movie, but these are real things. My name is Jason Shurka. Many of you may know me as the founder of Unified TV and Unified Healing. But there's a very, very exciting part of my life that I want to dive into, that I want to share with all of you. That's the fact that I have the privilege of working with an organization, a clandestine, undercover, underground organization with incredible intentions known as TLS, otherwise known as the Light System. What you're about to hear over the next few episodes may blow your mind. It's going to challenge your belief systems. It's going to break them down, and that's okay. My job is not to convince you. My job is not to persuade you. My job is to share what I've been asked to share with the world. And what you do with the information you're about to hear is completely up to you and your own free will.
One question I keep hearing over and over again in my head, the more that I learn about TLS and all of the people involved and everything they're doing, is selfishly, is there anything that they can do for me? Is there anything that I can learn from these people, that I can tell my poor mother that has rheumatoid arthritis and suffers from pain every day, or my sister-in-law who has type 1 diabetes and is in hospital right now after falling into a coma the other day. There's so many ailments, there's so much disease on our planet. Can we tap into these technologies selfishly to help ourselves, or are they only interested in helping on a more mass scale?
First of all, there's something that's even more important here, and it goes back to what we said in the very beginning when we started talking here. And it's the fact that everything that we need exists within us. All your resources, all your power, all your health, it's not outside of you.
Just ask a quick question on that before you move on.
Sure.
So I'm a baby. I'm born into a wonderful home with wonderful parents. On day one, I've had the perfect birth and I'm at home cuddled up and lying in my cot and I'm healthy. Is my frequency perfect at that moment? And is it the bullshit that we go through in life that messes with it? Is it emotional or is it physical? Like, what gets us to this state of dis-ease? Like, did my mum's life take a terrible turn that has led her to be in chronic pain all the time?
Don't think about life starting when you're a baby. There are many different lifetimes with many different things that you did or didn't do that will impact how you need to rectify or experience certain things in order to do one thing, and that is soul evolution, soul growth. That means that, let's say, in the past, you were, I don't know, a pedophile. Let's go all the way there. Well, then now you may have the opposite experience, and you may be a victim to that in order to rectify and rebalance. Some people can call that karma. So my answer to you directly would be, yeah, you're born perfectly. But how do you define perfect? Because perfect does not just mean sunshine and rainbows. Perfect means you've chosen the exact situation, circumstances, and conditions in your life that were perfect to give you exactly what you need in your life to continue growing. So why would some people ever choose to come into a family experiencing poverty? Why would some people choose to ever come into this world autistic, blind, deaf? Why would a baby ever choose on the soul level to experience cancer at 6 months old and die? Why would you choose a father that sexually abuses you? We see those things from a linear level and we say that's bad, and it is. But you chose that for a reason. There is nothing that happens on a universal level and the fundamentals of it all that's here to hurt you. Although we experience it as hurting us, there's a way that that's helping you. The question is how and why did you choose it? And generally, it has nothing to do with what you did in this life, but everything to do with what you've done in the past.
So my mum was always going to have that because she needed to have that experience?
And that could have been through this life as well, right? I'm not saying it all has to do with past lives, but life is more than just this singular entity that you experience as Serena or Jason. It's much, much more expansive than that. So
if we're meant to experience these things, I'm just, sorry, Mum, using you as an analogy for continuity, but if my mum was supposed to go through her life and experience this pain she now has every day, should she not use that machine?
I don't like using the word should. I would always give it a shot.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say, though? Like, if that was the path she chose, should she then not try and intervene and just suck it up?
Okay, so here's a beautiful, beautiful lesson. There's free will and there's divine will. Imagine life like this. You come in and you're in one of those cars where you're learning to drive. It has 2 steering wheels. Only you're both. You're the teacher and the student. You're the free will and the divine will. The free will is the ego part of you, your body, life experiencing itself through that. And the divine will is your soul that knows everything already. But if you came into life knowing everything, there's nothing to learn. There's no lessons to be had. So what happens when you come back into this vessel, when you come back into a body, is there's this veil of forgetfulness, if you want to call it. Almost like during COVID in taxis, when they put that piece of plastic, only it's not clear, it's black. You can't see through it. You don't know what's going on the other side. So now in your free will driver's seat, you're driving and driving and driving, and the road in front of you is your path. Your divine will knows exactly what your purpose is and where it needs to go, but your free will is what makes you a human being. So you can choose what you want to do. The goal is to always align your free will with your divine will. But we have the free will to go off path. When we do, what happens? We think about it as a punishment, but I'll make it very simple. When you start veering off path and there's metal and spikes and trees on the side of the road, you in the divine will seat will do whatever it can to save itself, to save you in the free will seat. So it's going to jerk you right back onto the road. And what happens when you get jerked and you're not expecting it? You hit your head, you could start bleeding. The harder the jerk, the harder the hit. The harder the hit, the more the pain. But you know very well now from the divine will side that that was saving you, not hurting you, because we know that you would have hit that on the side of the road. The idea over here is if you want to overcome, the quickest way to overcome a hardship, the quickest way to overcome a disease is not through medication. It's through spiritual enlightenment and self-awareness of what that disease was trying to teach you in the first place.
Realigning, I guess, is what you're saying.
So if it's coming to your mom, if we're going to use her as an example, I don't know who she is and how she,
She definitely lives an incongruent life and has stuff that she needs to resolve that she's not.
Mm-hmm.
big stuff?
I would start asking her to ask herself the question instead of, why is this happening to me? Because that's a victim, that's free will. You got to start asking yourself, how is this here to help me and what's the lesson? If you can do that, your free will suddenly be guided to be congruent and in alignment with your divine will again. And that's how you become a superhero in this life. You align both. That's how you no longer have to experience the massive hardships that most of our world does.
So what other technology, spiritual or physical, has manifest from like your relationship with TLS or other people's relationships with TLS? What have they given to us so far?
When it comes to physical objects out in the world that you can go and get like a product, nothing that I know of. It doesn't mean they haven't, but nothing that I know of.
So my body language probably looks a little bit guarded now, because it is. I feel like I dragged you from Burning Man over to my home because after watching Disclosure, I was worried that perhaps you were going out, going down the rabbit hole a little bit too much. You made a whole TV series with this guy that was like hidden and his voice was altered and he was talking about all this crazy stuff. But honestly, I was going to try and convince you to just take a different path in life, because I love you. But after sitting down and talking to you and having you explain things the way that you have, I do definitely feel differently. I feel like the things I thought seemed crazy, once explained, seem logical. I know you were approached by Ray and you had these interactions back and forth for a couple of years before you were really introduced to TLS. But were you like me? Like, did you hear it for the first time and sort of think, bruh, I'm into aliens and stuff, but like this is too much?
Yes.
Did you push back as well?
I'm a skeptical person at heart, always. If you, again, because I come from the business world, I'm very minded in that way. Like, I need to poke a hole in everything before I'm ever going to be willing to stand behind you or speak about it. So my nature is, first, you're wrong. Now prove it. Show me. I need to see, why should I believe you? So anybody who knows me, any close friends, the reason why I think it's easier for them to understand it is because they know who I am. They know that I'm not just going to sit there and be like, oh, wow, yeah, that's great. No. The first thing I'm going to do is, I need more. I don't understand. I need more, and you got to show me how that makes sense. I do it to everybody.
I've heard this thing about aliens. Really? Show me the proof. You do. You do that.
It's just who I am. I did that with the technology also.
What was it that got you over the line? What was it that gave you that moment of like, okay, I'm just gonna throw my lot in with this. I'm in.
Yeah, it wasn't one thing. It was multiple things. I shared some of those things today, but it was a lot of different things that, when combined, from the dreams to the premonitions, like you were talking about, to actually seeing things happen in real life on the news, being told that they would happen before they happened on the news, before they actually showed up in the real world.
You got your evidence, what you needed.
I mean, over and over and over and over.
So what's your plan then? What's your mission with this? Well, what are you going to do with this? It's a clandestine operation that you love and respect, but that you're trying to talk about.
With their permission. With
their permission, but you see the rub here. Like, so what is your end game right now? Like, what do you think? Where do you want to take this?
On a personal level, to get as like whole as possible, to be able to share that wholeness with everybody else. On a collective level, because this is much bigger than just me, it's how do we bring more people into universal awareness? And if you pay attention to my work, I don't just focus on one thing. I could talk to you about 9/11, extraterrestrials, high technology, the ocean, space. It doesn't matter. We could talk about anything, because universal awareness shows that everything is connected to everything, which means that we need to be the equivalent of like a polymath. You need to know a good amount about a lot to understand how the dots connect, instead of being an expert in just one thing. So that's my goal. I do my best. I have a lot to learn. I'm doing my best every single day. I'm still trying to live my life, because I'm still 26 and I'm, trying to be a human being.
You're the oldest 26-year-old I've ever met. You're like ancient.
I'm doing my best to, live, and I don't want to get to a place where I'm like 60 or 70 and be like, I didn't do what I wanted to do when I was 25 or 26 or 30 or whatever it is. So there's a balance. I'm learning that balance. I'm doing my best. And all of really what I feel that I'm here to do is, and it's selfless and selfish, is to make this world a better place for me and for everybody else. I don't want to live in a world that's dark. I want to live in a world where you don't have to worry if you leave your bike somewhere because nobody's going to steal it. If anything, they'll clean it if they see it's dirty. That's the world I want to live in. That's the world TLS wants to bring in. That's what the age of love is. And it's an inevitable time that's coming for us all. The question is when and what's going to happen along the way. I do my part. I'm a piece in a very big puzzle, but I do my part to help mitigate the damage along the way through raising awareness about many, many different topics.
Like all of the great thought leaders that have come before you, change is never easy. Change never occurs easily. And a lot of thought leaders, the ones that have changed humanity the most, have been persecuted for the words that have come out of their mouth. People like Martin Luther King, Jesus Christ, if you believe the Bible was real. You're going out on a limb here, Jason, and as your friend and someone that cares about you, are you ready for that? Are you ready for all that comes with these messages that you're trying to deliver? Because I don't think it's going to be real easy for you.
Honestly, no. But that's not going to stop me. So let's make something very simple. I've had many different people after me already. I've had a lot, okay? A lot, in more than just censorship. Physical ways, trying to take down, putting cases, whatever it is. I care, but I don't care. Because what's more important, me or the world? I'm just gonna come back again, it's gonna be shitty anyways, so we might as well do something about it. So if I die in the process, so be it, I've accepted that. I don't think that's gonna happen, but if it does, I'm okay with it. I was warned many, many times. Even Ray, you know how many times he said, Jason, your life is set. You have a family business. You guys have money. You don't have to worry about this. Don't do it. He literally said, don't do it. And till today, he says, I don't think you should continue. Because he knows, and he's also concerned as a friend, somebody that loves me very much. He's concerned, what's tomorrow going to hold? What if they come after you? And they did, and they will, and they'll continue. And if that means that my journey or path has to end at 28, then it'll end at 28. I don't think that's going to happen. I believe that if you do what you need to do, you will live as long as you need to live to succeed. So Martin Luther King, when he was killed, that's when he had to go. And everybody else along the way as well. So I do my part. There are risks involved, and death is not something I fear.
I have to use this analogy because it's playing in my head. We're in a white room, and Ray is Morpheus, and you are Neo, and he puts his fist in front of you, and he opens his hand, and he says to you, would you like to take the red pill or the blue pill? I think you're definitely a blue pill kind of guy. Right? Thank you so much for taking me down your rabbit hole and tunnels and on a journey through space and time. You've given me, and I'm sure all of the viewers, a lot to think about.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and being open. I appreciate it.
Viewers out there that have watched this alongside me and have been learning about TLS alongside me, I'm sure that there's many questions going around in their head, but the final one I guess that I have is, what now? What next? What, if anything, should we do?
In short, if we want to see a change in the world, it sounds cliche, but you're going to have to be that change. That means you have to take action. You have to do what needs to be done, no matter who's going to say anything about you. We're not living in times right now where we can afford to even think, what's my this going to say? What's my boss going to say? What's my sister or brother or son or daughter or friend or colleague or husband or wife or anybody going to say? Because if we don't do our part now, our children, our grandchildren, and everybody else will pay that price. So you want to pay it now or you want to pay it later? There are sacrifices that come with that. But the bigger sacrifice is not taking action because of what's going to come later. So in short, it's not really a sacrifice, it's an obligation. So my call to action, everybody needs to stand up. Everybody needs to make their voice heard and to do it peacefully. There's no violence, there's no guns, and there's no war. This is a spiritual war. It's not fought with those things. It's fought with awareness, the very thing that's trying to be suppressed and has been trying to be suppressed for a very long time, especially now. If we want to make a change in the world, it starts with tapping into universal awareness. It starts with facing the things that we can't even begin to comprehend. And it starts with opening our hearts, our minds, our ears, our eyes, everything from the physical to the spiritual senses to be able to see the world differently, because the way that we perceive the world will change the way that the world happens to us. And it's always happening for us. So if we can change that perspective, this world will become a much better place a whole lot quicker.
Subscribe.